right, Shalom. First one was like give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem,
Yahushai, by Hashem, Rakakadash.
Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and to all the sincere acting about their pressing the truth and sincerity. This is the brother Abunya from GMS, Wisconsin.
Shema Yahweh.
You know, and the brother wanted to go into a lesson, basically on the pharmaceuticals. And he gonna bring out this article, and we're gonna throw a couple scriptures in there. And hopefully the brothers be edified, through this.
All right. This is from drugfreeworld.org. This is actually an article on ecstasy. What brought me to this article was early in the week. I got a brother who indulges in what the streets call rollers, and he will always glorify the drug and say, hey, all I do is pop rollers and whatever. So it got me to thinking. I never really researched the drug before, and so I went to go research it. And I'm gonna read through this article and go through the things that pretty much the where the drug was developed, who developed the drug, the different types of chemicals and other drugs that are bunched up together in ecstasy. And we're going to bring out some scriptures that coincide with it as well. But without further ado, this is the article here. It says ecstasy was originally developed by...
What's the website so they can look it up?
This is drugfreeworld.org. Drugfreeworld.org. It says ecstasy was originally developed by Merck Pharmaceutical Company in 1912. In its original form, it was known as MDMA. It was used in 1953 by the U.S. Army in psychological warfare tests, and then resurfaced in the 1960s as a psychotherapy medication to lower inhibitions. It wasn't until the 1970s that MDMA started being used as a party drug. By the early 1980s, MDMA was being promoted as the hottest thing in the continuing search for happiness through chemistry. And the drug and the end drug for many weekend parties. Still legal in 1984, MDMA was being sold under the brand name Ecstasy. By 1985, the drug had been banned due to safety concerns. Since the late 1980s, ecstasy has become an abrasive marketing term for drug dealers, selling ecstasy-type drugs that may, in fact, contain very little or no MDMA at all. And while MDMA itself can produce harmful effects, what is called ecstasy today can contain a wide mixture of substances, from LSD, cocaine, heroin, amphetamine, and methamphetamine, to rat poison, caffeine, dog deworming substances, etc. Despite the cute logos dealers put on the pills, this is what makes ecstasy particularly dangerous. A user never really knows what he is taking. The dangers are increased when users increase the dose seeking a previous high, not knowing they may be taking an entirely different combination of drugs. Ecstasy most commonly comes in pill form, but can also be injected and taken in other ways. Liquid ecstasy is actually GHB, a nervous system depressant, a substance that can also be found in drain cleaner, floor stripper, and degreasing solvents. Here are some street names for ecstasy. As I mentioned earlier, rollers. They call it Atom, Cadillac, Beans, California Sunrise, Clarity, E, Essence, Elephants, Eve, Hug Drug, Love Pill, Lover, Speed, Roll. As I said, Scooby Snacks, Snowball X, XE, X, TC. So in that article, I mean, you see that this drug, which was originally manufactured by no one else but Esau, you know, just show you how wicked the wickedness of Esau.
And basically the drug was designed to keep the minds of the people docile. Because when you go back to that time period, hey, you had was it the 70s, 60s, 70s?
Yep.
You know, and you had Jake rising up. You know, that was the death of Martin Luther King and various other people. You had, you know, Jake was pretty much tired of the oppression. God. You know, and to keep the minds of the people docile, they put these drugs in the communities. You know.
As a matter of fact, it says right here. It says it's lucky on that too. It says that it was used in 1953 by the U.S. Army in psychological warfare tests, and then resurfaced in the 1960s as a psychotherapy medication to lower inhibitions.
Right. So basically to keep the mind docile.
God.
You know, and when you go into the word psycho, you know, it's dealing with the mind, psychological. They turned it into a psychological warfare to keep the minds of the people docile so that they wouldn't rise up. But now everything is resurfacing. Everybody's seeing the so-called white man for all the madness that he's spewing. Yeah, something else. Because of scriptures. What scripture you have first?
We have Revelations 19:21.
Right here. It's, Revelation chapter 19, verse 21. It said, neither did they repent of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor fornications, nor thefts. You know, so when you go into the word sorcery in Revelation chapter 21, that word sorcery,
Strong's G 5331. Pharmakia.
pharmakia, which is use of administering drugs, poison, sorcery, magic arts, often found in connection with adultery or fostered by. You know, so pretty much a poison. And as you see, you know, and the brother brought out in the article, you know, they was using poisonous chemicals and developing poisonous chemicals, you know, putting it in these drugs, you know, and they were also putting spirits on people and spirits in the drugs, you know, praying over the demonic spirits or over the drugs. Salakia.
What we have next? Deuteronomy 18, verse 10. This is Deuteronomy 18, verse 10. It said, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter or a witch.
You know, it said observer of times, an enchanter or a witch. You know, and that word observer of times or enchanter, you know, goes back into goes into the word sorcery, which was magic. Matter of fact, let me get the word sorcery. This is the etymology of the word sorcery. It says witchcraft, magic, enchanter, entice, sorcery, supernatural state or affairs. Similarly, magic work, a sorcerer, a wizard. It says from the Latin word sorcery, you know, and it was basically to conjure up spirits, you know.
God, I got a precept. This is First Samuel chapter 28, verse 7. It says, Then says Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit. We're going to go into familiar spirit.
Like you get them, you get this definition, then you bring that one. Okay. This is from the etymology, the word familiar, It says, inmate, a very friendly, family-footed. I'm gonna try to get right to the point. It says, from the late, or this is the noun of the meaning. It says, demon, evil spirit that answered one's call. Earlier, as now a familiar friend, used, now means slave, friend, also acquaintance or companion.
This is from gotquestions.org, and the question that was posed was, what are familiar spirits? The answer that they gave was, the word familiar is from the Latin familiaris, meaning a household servant, and is intended to express the idea that sorcerers had spirits as their servants ready to obey their commands. Those attempting to contact the dead, even to this day, usually have some sort of spirit guide who communicates with them. These are familiar spirits.
Right.
And it also has here in it says Leviticus 19:31.
Right.
I'll grab that.
So Leviticus 19.
Well, it states here, it says Leviticus 19:31, 26, and 27, and Deuteronomy 18:19 through 14 refers to mediums and familiar spirits, and forbids being involved with them, as they are an abomination to the Lord.
Right,
A medium.
No, like you were saying, because the Most High said, don't the sin of witchcraft, but the sin of rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and the Most High said, don't thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. So by you taking those drugs, you basically putting them spirits in you.
Oh, it also says here, it says, a medium is one who acts as a liaison to supposedly contact or communicate with the dead on behalf of the living. In reality, mediums are contacting demons who convince the mediums that they are familiar and can be trusted and believed. The practices associated with mediums and familiar spirits are banned in Israel. And the punishment for practicing such things are death, or was death.
Right. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. You're supposed to put a witch to death.
It says, familiar spirits and spirit guides are under the control of their master, Satan. They influence people to spread lies and deceit in order to thwart the kingdom of Yahweh.
And how do they do that? By use of the mind-altering drugs, keeping the people, their mind docile so that they don't focus on the truth, which is Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, And, basically stuck in folly land. Go ahead.
That was pretty much it in this article, as far as some of that.
Because the story that they brought out, consulting the familiar spirit, he's going to read in Samuel, it actually bring it out.
This is 1 Samuel, just 28, verse 7. We bring it back, right?
Yeah.
It says, then said Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit,
which was forbidden by Israel,
that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servants said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit in Endor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment, and he went, and 2 men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. And the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits.
Right, so Saul, here it is, Saul made a decree. He said, basically anybody consulting make familiar spirits shall be put to death. Go ahead.
And the wizards out of the land, wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life.
And just to be clear, when you go into the word witch, which I got it right here, it says a female musician, a sorcerer, a woman supposed of have dealing with the devil, an evil spirit, or able by their cooperation to perform supernatural acts, which in that case was summoning up a spirit, or the spirit the spirit of, and then when you go into the word wizard, it's basically the male counterpart of a witch.
It says, wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die? So in other words, she thought he was setting up her to be killed because he already gave a decree out that put
witches to death. Because he was practicing divination. And here it is. He said it before. Hey, summon the spirit for me.
Want me to continue?
Yeah.
Okay. This is verse 10 in 1 Samuel 28. It says, and Saul swear to her that by the Lord Yahweh, saying, as the Lord Yahweh liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, whom shall bring up unto thee? And he said, bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, what form is he of? And she said, an old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? So in other words, why have you
summoned
me? Why you wake me up? I was asleep. Right? It's disquieted me to bring me up. And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and the Most High is departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Then said Samuel, wherefore then thou doest thou ask of me, seeing Yahweh power is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy.
So what do you want me to do? Why you calling me?
And the Most High have done to him as he spake, Slaki, and Yahweh power have done to him as he spake to me. For Yahweh hath rent the kingdom out of thy hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David.
Right. So you see, the kingdom was given to David, and it was taken from Saul, and he didn't want to let it go.
Let me continue.
Yeah, a little more on that.
All right. It says, this is verse 18. Because thou obeyest not the voice of Yahweh, nor executest his fierce wrath upon Amalek, therefore hath the Most High done this thing unto thee this day. Moreover, Yahweh will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me. The Most High also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. Then Saul fell straightway all along on the earth, and was sore afraid because of the words of Samuel, and there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all the day, nor all the night.
So going back to that point, hey, the spirit that he summoned of Samuel, he said, hey, you gonna eat with me in a minute, and you finna die because you did what the Most High told you not to do. You summoned the spirit, and what happened with most of the pharmaceutical drugs that they push out, a lot of the people who take these drugs become sick, their mind become bugged out, or and as of late with the opioids, and a lot of these crystal meth been putting a lot of these people to death.
What do they put in fentanyl? They put fentanyl inside the Percocets and the Oxycontin and all that, and that's causing people to overdose and to ultimately go off. There was a case that just happened with actually a person I knew, an artist who ended up overdosing off ecstasy, and he bugged out, and he was committing all type of kind of heinous crimes. Now he's facing hundreds of years in jail.
Right. So, hey, the drugs, like I said, the drugs are set up to put spirits upon the people. Now, when you go into the law, you know, the herbs were actually made for our healing. You know, but here you go, you got Esau, who take those very same drugs, you know, and conjure up spirits, put spirits upon them, add you know, they poisons to it, and it destroys the people. It takes away from what the Most High intended it to be for. You know, so you had anything else with
No,
that?
that was about it.
So, you know, like I said, hopefully this video was edifying to you brothers. You know, with that, we're going to say all praise and honor go to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash.
Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and to all you sincere out there pressing the truth and sincerity. Shalom.
Shalom.